God. Oh, it's live.
Rove, how long do you stand?
It's live, apparently.
Okay.
All right.
Is it?
Is it live?
Yeah, it's already live. Yeah.
F it. Let's do it live.
It's live. Yeah, I can see it on the other screen. I'm going to close that now because otherwise I'll use all of the bandwidth. And then there'll be none left for anyone else. All right, let's start this thing. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first Roave Hangout thing. We are gathered here today. We've got 6 lovely members of Rove who've come to talk about anything interesting happening in the PHP community, fun stuff that's happening, and just have a general chit chat. It's going to be quite informal, laid back. There's no strict agenda that we've got, or we're not trying to compete with any of those famous PHP podcasts that there are so many of. So we're just having an informal chat, catch up with things, and see how things go. So I guess if you've been following Rove and the happenings for the last 2, 3, 4 years, you've probably noticed there's kind of been a bit of a lull. So I'm actually going to direct a question straight at Evan. Just ask, hey, Evan, what's going on with Rove?
All right. Well, good question. Cut right to the hard stuff. Nice. So basically over, the last year or so, hasn't been as much public facing stuff as we had done in the past. We reaching out to the community, being involved in the community, being involved in open source, going to conferences. Those are important things to me, important things to, running the company that I want to run. And I think what I noticed the last year is that we have, I don't want to say focus too much on work, but it's kind of an element of what it is. We've just really been buckled down, heads down, working, knocking out projects and stuff like that. But what I really want to see is us get back to that more community-oriented mindset, and that's the kind of the company that I wanted to build. That's what I had in mind with Rove, was more of something that is, I want us to be more of a public, and I don't know, I can't think of the word, not beneficiary, but I want us to benefit the public more than what we're doing.
Like giving back to the community.
Giving back to the community. Our entire business is based on the work of all these people in the open source community and in the PHP community. And I don't think there's ever any possible way that we can make it up to them, but we can obviously do what we can to contribute back and be part of that. And I think that that's something that we need to start focusing on again. And so, yeah, it's kind of a priority shift, I think, more than anything. But I don't think that the buckling down, heads down, not talking to anyone mindset is necessarily the best way forward for us. And so this is our way of kind of trying to change that a little bit and shift directions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, talking about giving back, sort of something that I've done recently is I tweeted out something about Zen Framework and said, oh, there's loads of pull requests. And then Matthew Werefini just turned around and said, oh, okay, you can join the community review team now. So yeah, I should do a bit more pull request reviewing.
Yeah, it's your problem now.
It is my problem. I should not have tweeted that day, but I do.
That's how he sucks us all in, by the way. It's all guilt driven. This whole community thing, just guilt driven.
Yeah, I feel guilty every day, every email I get now.
Kudos for joining, by the way. It's a lot of effort, but thanks for helping out.
Well, I do what I can. I'm a martyr for the cause.
Speaking of community involvement, there's the conference season coming up. I know I'm hijacking in topics, but
hang on. To hold that thought, because I realized that something we should probably have done at the start, but I'm obviously a terrible show host, is that we should introduce everyone who's on the panel today, because we may not have any idea who any people watching may not have any idea.
Point. We're assuming more context than there actually is.
Exactly. So Evan, you've been chatting. Introduce yourself and tell us in like one sentence about what you do with yourself.
So basically, I'm Evan Corey, and I run this little company called Rove that most of us do work for, and I contribute to the Zen framework and other things when I can. I haven't in a while, but again, that's something that I want to start changing here again soon. So, and
a fun little anecdote is Evan did a merger pull request. I think it was just before ZenCon the year before last, and didn't follow the proper merging process, so got told off for that. But anyway, Ben, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Well, as Evan, I'm a main contributor to the Zen framework, even though also I haven't done anything in the past to it, or almost nothing. And well, I'm also working with Rove. So yeah.
Cool. Antoine?
I have never been a main contributor to the framework. I'm more of a guy that annoys Marco and Evan and Matthew to get my stuff merged. And for the last 1 or 2 years, I've been doing mostly DevOps, bridging between PHP and Zen framework and getting it running in good big environments.
Well, someone's got to be the annoying person, right? Marco, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so Marco, I'm the Super Mario guy on the internet, and I work for Rove as a consultant. And if I'm not at the conference, then I am usually consulting somewhere, so you won't see me that much in the open source scene this year, but otherwise I'm supposed to also maintain Doctrine project.
Cool. And Nigel?
Hi, Nigel. I guess I'm a contributor to Zen framework. Contributed a few things. I kind of just hang out in the background. I'm a developer.
Well, I mean, we've seen Gary Hawkins talk. As soon as you've had anything merged, you are therefore a contributor, and you can put it in your CV,
yes.
right? So,
yes.
For those of you who haven't seen Gary Hawkins talk, I've spoiled one of the jokes, so I apologize for that.
Nice.
Spoilers alert. Oh no. Okay. So yeah, Marco, you were going to say about conferences. You were hijacking the conversation before I rudely interrupted with formalities.
Yeah, I mean, we are pretty much consultants. So if we want to take on Uncle Bob's analogy on consultants, a consultant is like a seagull. He comes over to your place, makes a lot of noise, eats all your food, shits all over it, and then leaves. I like to think it that way because there are a lot of bad consultants out there. I try to be a good one, but still, part of it is true. So going to conferences is both a way of making a lot of noise and to help the community with knowledge, with accumulated knowledge, with discussions. Every time you go back from a conference, you're so full of ideas. And so we are going to be at a lot of conferences this year. I need to pull up the newsletter from Rove because we have a list of what is going on. And well, James, you can start with your own conference, I would say. With your, I wouldn't say yours, sorry.
Oh, what, PHP South Coast? Yeah. So, I mean, that's not even until June. I'm actually heading to a conference in London tomorrow, only attending, not speaking this one, but I'm heading to the DDD exchange in London, which looks quite an interesting polyglot DDD related conference. Looking forward to that. We got PHP Day in Italy. Everyone knows that one. Hopefully, it's a fantastic conference in Verona, in North Italy, 12th and 13th of May. And then I'm probably the only one in Rove heading to the Bucharest Tech Week which is, funnily enough, in Bucharest. We've got PHP Serbia, which is the day after PHP Bucharest Tech Week, rather. And then we have got PHP South Coast, which is by far the best PHP conference in Portsmouth.
Is it the only PHP conference?
It is the only one, but
is there not like something for elderly people, like a meetup or something? Yeah.
Well, you won't be there because obviously you're too busy playing video games and playing Factorio and things like you young kids do, yeah? And the day after South Coast is PHP Framework Days, which I believe is in Kiev. And then we've got one called How Camp, which I couldn't find any information about, Marco. And tell us about that one.
I didn't get any more details yet, but it's mostly a workshop-oriented conference. It's a tiny conference in Bulgaria on the seaside.
Okay.
So if you like sunshine and the seaside and Bulgaria, which honestly I can't judge because I've not been there yet, then you might join. And I'm going to probably do also a workshop, but I don't know yet. Sorry.
Well, I went to Bulgaria last year for Bulgaria PHP, and it's we did a tour of the countryside, and it's a really beautiful place actually. It's pretty cool. After that, we've got DESA PHP conference, which is being formed at the moment. DWX Developer Week. We've got, of course, Dutch PHP conference at the end of June.
I'm scared.
You're scared? Oh.
Yeah.
Can you say anything yet? Is the schedule announced?
I can't say anything yet, but apparently we're supposed to keynote this thing, and I have no idea of how to do this.
Well, I'm sure it'll be awesome. So, yeah, and finally the last. Say again, Antoine.
There's no pressure from the last final keynote at DPC. It wasn't that good, Marco.
Yeah, no,
you don't have to worry.
If anybody has been at DPC last year, they would know that there was this absolutely terrible, completely worthless keynote by Rostak. I mean, he made an absolutely terrible keynote. And I mean, it should be so easy to beat it, right? I mean, to top it, I guess. Yeah, so I'm totally not shitting my pants right now.
For those of you who've never seen Marco speaking before, yes, that was oozing with sarcasm.
I was just about to ask. I was like, I didn't see last year's closing keynote. Is this sarcasm?
Yeah, definitely sarcasm there. And yeah, we've got another couple of conferences lined up. Actually, it's a couple that I'm really looking forward to. I'm going to be at Coda Cruise, which is a cruise around the Caribbean, which is going to be nice. Also very expensive for me to fly over, and it's drained all my funds. But and also PHP South Africa, which is going to be a lot of fun as well. So yeah, lots of conferences lined up, and I'm sure there'll be more as time goes by. And of course, we need to everyone needs to bug Evan to come over to DPC, right?
Yeah, everybody's bugging me about that. I might come. We'll see. I can't answer this publicly on here.
It's fine. All right.
I'll hold the threads for later, for after the call. All right.
Okay.
That's a good idea. Okay. So, I mean, Marco, is there a conference you've ever not spoken at?
I don't know any, so sorry.
You're speaking at a lot of conferences.
Yeah, it seems like he's at every single one that exists, even ones I haven't heard of, which is bizarre.
It will
that's
stop.
what it means.
It will stop eventually. People will notice that it's the same talk, and by the way, it is the same talk being repeated a lot. So it will stop. I promise.
I mean, I gave some of those Zen Framework 2 talks like way more times than I thought anybody would ever want to listen to it. But it's surprising. There's a lot of different audiences to get in front of. I'm surprised at how long one talk can actually go.
It's actually
spreading around the community.
it's actually, you have to think that at the end of the day, the people that go to the conference are the top 2-3 percentile of the, I would say, developer population. So it's not like our talks are that widespread. People actually need to hear this. I'm currently giving a lot this talk about extremely defensive PHP. I think that anybody that heard the topic already knows what the talk is, and they are probably annoyed as heck now. But still, people need to hear this stuff because I spend day after day after day fixing silly things. So yeah, push it.
I mean, I don't want to inflate your ego much, but I've got to say that talk is full of good advice and sort of experiences, I suppose, that you've learned from. So, and it's kind of timeless. It's not something that's
it really
a fad or or like everyone loves monads or whatever. No one loves monads anymore. It's all about Haskell now, right? Because they're completely different things.
Nobody knows monads anyway, so.
No, what is a monad? Let's not go there.
A monad is a construct that as soon as you learn what it is, you forget how to explain it to others. That's basically what a monad is.
I like that explanation.
Nice. So yeah, I mean, that's a lot of traveling, but I mean, someone who is traveling a lot at the moment is Antoine, which I never know. I certainly never know where you are at any one time. You just sort of pop up on IRC occasionally and say, "Hey, I'm in, Thailand or whatever." Where are you at the moment, Antoine?
Currently, I'm in Lima. I'm ending my 9 months of digital nomading. I've traveled the world. It's been a great experience. Met a lot of great developers, a lot of small communities out there. And I would really recommend it to the other people that can do it.
How's it called? Is it a program or?
Well, there are a bunch of programs. I'm currently with Hackers Paradise, but we're going to make a quick shout out to a friend of mine, Steve Lacey, who has written up a site called Co-workations, where you can find these trips where you can travel abroad and work, and they organize a lot of things for you. So you get to experience a lot of life, meet a lot of cool people, and travel a lot, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I've had a look at that website, coworkations.co, and there's some pretty amazing looking trips in there, I've got to say. And if I didn't have 2 kids and a wife, I would certainly be looking at doing one of those, because it looks pretty cool. So the best I can do is travel the world to various PHP conferences, but
Well, I would say that you can always do it when you're old, because the trip we had in South Korea, South Koreans are very much into computer gaming. It's quite a thing there.
Oh, I think we may have lost Antoine.
I think we lost Antoine, yeah.
Obviously, the internet is not great in Peru at the moment.
Yeah.
Maybe he's lost some signal.
No, they just intercepted him, and that's it. He was speaking.
All right. So, all right, let's go on. We've got also some news. If you haven't heard about it, Rove actually has a mailing list. We did mention the conferences, which I actually quickly looked up and found the list of conferences we're going to be at. We have a Rove mailing list, and we've tweeted out the link, and I'll tweet it out and put it with the show notes after as well, so you can join in and see about all the updates and so on that we've got going on. And that's sort of, I'm aiming to put that out once a month or so, just to have little focus of information. There's not going to be loads of stuff in it each month, just a little update and maybe a focus on a particular topic each month.
Yeah.
So
I want to emphasize too, like, we're not trying to sell anything or anything with this mailing list. This is like really just for us to communicate the things that we'd want to be communicated to us as part of the community as well. Like, it's just a way for us to get, that information out there that's a little bit longer maybe than 140 characters. That's about it. It's not going to be a big sales pitch every month for Rove or anything like that. If any sales, there shouldn't be anything. I don't think we even mentioned using it as that type of tool. So,
What about selling the email contacts? Can we do that?
well, yeah. I mean, we're going to sell everybody's private information and
Okay.
whatnot. I mean, that's really what we do at Rove. Is we're just a data harvesting company masquerading as programming contractors, but we don't want to tell the public that. So,
Okay. Yeah,
Evan on the tower.
Evan.
Crap. Shoot.
Yeah. So I mean I am sort of in charge of writing this email thing, and it's I can corroborate with that. It's not like a salesy thing. If you haven't been subscribed to it yet, the first one was about Rove security advisories, which is a very useful package, and you add that into your composer JSON, and it conflicts with all known vulnerabilities in the Friends of PHP security advisories database. So that's a really great way of sort of preemptively striking against known vulnerabilities. The last episode that I sent out just a couple of days ago was sort of actually introduced. Zen Framework have introduced a minimum version of PHP 7.1 for all the new packages, which is kind of cool. And I just went into a bit of detail about that and sort of the arguments for and against that, which is kind of interesting. I mean, 7.1 is the new language features there, like nullable types, void return types, and a few other things that make it that sort of cherry on the cake of PHP 7, which is pretty cool. Talking about Zen Framework news as well, they have a Slack channel as well.
Is he making that
everything
public
has a
yet?
Slack channel.
That was kind of on the download at first. I don't know if we're supposed to.
Yeah, no, it is public.
Okay,
there's a blog. There's a blog post about it.
Okay, never mind. I'm just a week behind, I guess.
That's cool. No,
it actually is. I was reluctant to join, but honestly, since I get to join IRC less and less because of work, I really enjoy the email notifications when somebody pings me directly. I must say that the Slack stuff is kind of helping out to keep in touch with the community right now.
I'm having trouble with push notifications on Slack. Does anybody else have that issue? Like, my phone only sometimes gives me notices for private messages and
yeah, you can configure when it sends you notifications and so on. So
okay.
And
also you tech support after the live hangout, I guess.
And also you will need something like a cluster to run the Slack application. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
A cluster. But yeah, anyway, do join the new Zen Framework Slack channel. If you have a look on the Zen Framework blog, there is a link on the news article there about it. And also Zen Framework have started a mailing list as well. At almost the same time we started ours. It's, I don't know, maybe there's a mole.
Interesting.
But yeah,
we should honestly just hire Matthew. And call it today.
You're not supposed to tell anybody about that plan.
All right.
Well, also talking about other things going on in the community, there is also a PHP Women survey that they're putting out. There's a link on their Twitter feed. We need your help to refocus PHP Women. It's just a quick Google Forms just to get an idea of, sort of how PHP Women have been helping people and what they can do more of and so on. So do check that out as well. Yeah, so talking about Twitter, a bit of a segue here into Marco tweeted earlier before the Hangout, preparing for today's Rove team call by having some whiskey and reading Haskell examples. So, I mean, I have no idea about Haskell and why you should drink whiskey before programming in Haskell. Are they related?
Yeah, let me
tell us
first
more,
give
Marco?
a sad announcement. I had to give away the whiskey because I'm currently using drugs for allergies. So, and they basically knock me out. If I drink alcohol with that, that's probably not a good mix. But
especially if you throw Haskell into there as well.
I still managed to do some Haskell. I'm currently following like 20 different things on Haskell. I would strongly suggest, if you are into video tutorials, to follow the videos from Bartosz Milewski. I have no idea if that's his name. I'm really sorry if I mispronounced it. And they're very.
Why would somebody want to learn Haskell?
Oh yeah,
Marco?
I will get there. But
Okay.
basically, Haskell is a programming language that I would say goes more into the programming concepts and into the definitions of the problems that we want to solve, rather than in how these problems unroll at execution time. It's a very elegant language, mathematical oriented, but looking at my everyday work, where we use, like, I don't know, PHP, Java, C, whatever happens to execute on our machines, we constantly have these runtime failures and security issues because of domain translation issues like XSS injections, SQL query injections. And this language is so strictly typed that it has some interesting properties where you want to work with an HTML output. So therefore, you will need to define structures that work well with this HTML output. You will not be able to, for example, produce a div inside a span because the language has a type information about it. It's a interesting language. That's what interests me, is not really the functional parts of it, but more like the definition of these types. And the more I study it, the more I'm fascinated by it. It's a very difficult language, I would say, because I'm unlearning what I learned so far, but otherwise it's fascinating. I would suggest everyone to just dig in and give it a try.
So I actually know nothing about it. The way you describe it, it sounds like it's not just like syntax rules, but it's like syntax rules with context rules as well.
Yeah. Basically, there is a type system that is so weird that you can have types of types. It's really a different way of composing things. And also very, very much free of boilerplate. Like if you think about the language with a lot of types, you think Java, you think TypeScript, you think C++ and the templates in C++. Good luck to whoever has to work with that. I mean, it gives you the type safety, and you can compile extremely complex programs and complex computations into zero overhead abstractions. Like a very complex data structure becomes like a couple opcodes or operations at CPU levels. In this language, you pretty much have kind of the best of both worlds. But the other problem that I have is that I'm still studying it, so it's like all the things that I'm doing are hello world.
That was going to be my next question: is what have you built so far in it, and what are you like? What's your idea of where you're heading with it, and what the kinds of things you want to build in the future?
Well, I mean, you folks all worked a bit with Expressive, right? Or maybe if you didn't work with Expressive, you can think of, if you're in the JavaScript world, like Express.js or Slim. There is a very interesting API server called Servant, and it's written in Haskell, and it has a very similar syntax of what we know in Expressive and Slim. So you pipe things through. And what is interesting is that in something like 20 lines of code or so on, given this abstraction given by the library, you can create an API that will also provide options, HTTP responses, that will also give you like the Swagger style responses and hypermedia responses where you can actually inspect what the response and request will look like, validation API. And I just benchmarked it locally on my Mac, which I don't have here anymore. I moved to Linux finally. But
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, welcome to the club.
Yeah, so basically I tried benchmarking it and it crashed my network card. Because the response time is something like 0.01 millisecond. It's ridiculous because it's all compiled. It's absolutely fascinating. And being mathematically proven, the type system being mathematically proven with the execution model, the definition, how you execute the program is not up to you. The compiler decides in which order to execute things, which makes the big O notation style analysis a bit hard on Haskell programs. But still, I mean, it's so incredibly fast. So Give it
It's
a
an
try.
interesting side effect.
So I mean, a lot of people are doing Go stuff at the moment, and that seems to be the flavor of the week for PHP developers. I know even at PHP South Coast we have a pretty interesting looking Go talk, Golang, and I did have a play with it at one point, but then I didn't get any further than Hello World.
Yeah, it feels like that with any language. It's like the curve you get over the I/O curve. I think that's the point. When you can open a file,
where do you go
and
from
then
there?
Yeah,
Until you
I
have
got a
like
lot
an
of
actual
people
application for it.
you can go
I
to
got a little
Go
bit further with
Panics.
the Go project.
We need an order of speaking.
Yeah, sure.
Evan, go first.
I know. Latency. I was going to say I got a little bit further with the Go project. I got to Hello World, and then I actually went one step further. I started pulling in some dependencies. I pulled in a library that did a gossip protocol. It was actually the one built for this thing called Console, I think it's called, that does. It's kind of like Zookeeper, which uses, I believe, like the Raft protocol or some consensus algorithm to do consistency across a large cluster of machines. Whereas Gossip protocol is more of just like one machine says something and they say something to two and they say something to two, and it spreads out in a controlled way so it doesn't saturate your network with all these machines talking to each other. I don't remember exactly what the project is I was messing with, but I've noticed that the networking libraries for Go are super impressive, super mature, super fast, and I was able to get going with something like super complex, like a clustered gossip protocol thing that you can deploy to a bunch of machines and keep in sync. I did that in maybe 2 hours after doing Hello World in Go. I didn't even know anything about the language at the time. So it has a lot of that PHP feel of get up and go pretty quick, which I like. But then you also have like these super mature, high-speed networking libraries, and it's, you know, a little bit closer to the metal and more performant. And there's a lot I like about Go. I kind of I'm starting to sound like a fanboy, but I enjoyed my first experience with it.
That's kind of how it's marketed, right? It's all about the concurrency and being able to spread things out, like you've explained, sir.
Yeah.
I've actually been in the last 6 months with Go, and I'm actually going to have to give this one to PHP because Go is really performant on one page. There's one thing that Go does not handle very well that PHP just kicks its ass, is that Composer actually works. There's about 15 different dependency management programs in Go, and none of them really work just as well as Composer, which is actually kind of surprising. But Go is a language from Google, and they notoriously have their entire source code in one big repository. So they don't really have that issue. So many of the dependency management programs you'll find in Go are community-driven, and they're not quite at where Composer is right now. So I still give that to PHP.
Speaking of which, I saw today there is a package manager that is similar to Composer with log files and local vendor files for Go written in Rustlang for whatever reason.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. I just saw it today and on GitHub by accident.
Was that released 24 days ago?
Something like that, yeah. I have no idea. But it has log files. If it has log files, then it kind of gives me an idea. The author of this has an idea of what they're doing. Without log files, you're not going anywhere.
24 days ago would have been April Fool's.
There is one called Glide that I've been using, which is pretty decent. It's not the best compared to Composer, but I still like it, which has log files. So if anyone's trying out that, I would recommend it before trying to find 15 other libraries first.
Yeah, and I come from a week of Yarn and NPM, and it's all nice and shiny, but at the end of the day, I must say that Jordi and Nils did an amazing job with Composer. It's such a well-designed
They
tool.
really did. It is a really good tool. The only gripe I've ever had about it really was the SSL thing, which I dropped the ball on, so I couldn't even be mad about.
It's only for 5.3 now, right?
Yeah. It's only 5.3 that had that problem. I was upset about this a long time ago. So
You just need to convince Jordi to drop Windows and 5.3 support now.
yeah.
Yeah, it's never gonna happen.
I've seen a comment on the live chat on the YouTube. I actually only just opened it up, but I saw someone said I did not even understand the $Go path thing, and that's actually what I struggled to get my head around to start off with, because I started going through the Golang tutorial, and then it's oh no, if I fired up Gogland, the JetBrains version of its Go editor. And it's like, oh, you have to configure this Go path. And I was like, what the hell is this? And I had to do loads of Googling to figure out what it was. I can't just like get up and running. And then you have to have the specific directory structure for how things are laid out and so on. I mean, once you get over that initial hurdle of setting things up the right way, it seemed all right. I mean, you know, it's another language. You can see where the benefits are. So.
Yeah, that workspace directory thing's messed with me a little bit, because I'm used to just having like the one workspace with all my PHP projects and everything. Each project's just its own folder, and then goes like, oh, by the way, you're going to need like your own special Go area that's separate from the place that you normally do all your work on your computer. And that put me off a little bit, but I don't know. I kind of get it, I guess, with the tooling that they have and the way they're trying to make the first experience consistent for everyone. And I'm sure you can tweak it a little bit as you get better.
They've also actually just removed it in 1.8. It's no longer a requirement, if I'm not completely wrong, because that has been one of the biggest problems people have had with Go. So they've been looking to try and solve that, so you don't actually need the Go path to get a simpler project up and running. So they will actually listen to the community.
Wow. Well, I may have been using the 1.8 as you say, but it's obviously it was the JetBrains IDE Gogland that prompted me about that. So that may have been sort of a leftover artifact of that, perhaps. All right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean that's let's probably draw it a day there. I mean, we've got plenty of stuff we could talk about, but I don't want to drag this on too much.
Can't burn out all our topics right on the first one, so we got to save a little bit.
Exactly. We've got to have something to talk about next month, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll aim. We'll set a date and we'll advertise it on Twitter and on the mailing list and so on. Please do join the mailing list. I mentioned earlier, we'll tweet out the links and we'll put it in the YouTube description as well, to join the mailing list. And yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for watching. And
thanks, guys.
We shall see you next month. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh.